Everyone.
Welcome.
So welcome to this talk on aligning with the new group of world servers. So I thought that first we'll take a look at why and how the new group of world servers was formed, its structure and its ongoing purpose, and then we'll consider just how we might effectively align ourselves with this group. Okay. As a result of the 1925 conclave, the hierarchical conclave that is held every 100 years, and we're, preparing for next year, a group of masters, of which DK was a part, decided to more closely link the senior disciples of the world. To this end, we're told, all the masters put their own personal groups of disciples in touch with each other, subjectively, intuitively, and telepathically. It was in this way that the new group of world servers came into being. DK says, the emergence of the new group of world servers today is an indication that there are enough egoic ray types in physical manifestation, and that a sufficient number of personalities are responding to soul contact so that a group can be formed that can be definitely impressed as a group. This is the first time that such a situation has been possible. Up till this century, individuals could be impressed here and there in different parts of the world and at widely separated times and periods. But today, a group can respond, and their numbers are relatively so great that there can be formed upon the planet a group composed of a number of persons of such radiatory activity that their auras can meet and contact each other. Thus, one group, subjective and objective, can be functioning. This group, we are told, is held together by an inner structure of thought and a close telepathic interrelation. Okay, the purpose behind the formation of the new group of world servers was and is to help humanity prepare for the Aquarian Age and to restore the plan on Earth by initiating a new world order. The new group of world servers does this by training both individuals and groups to be vehicles for the divine ideas put forth in the plan in order to charge the thoughts of men and women. Interestingly, they work primarily on mental levels with thought forms and impressing the thoughts of men and women. For it is the active intelligence aspect of deity, the third aspect, that the new group of world servers works under. In fact, they are themselves adept in the science of thought impression, stepping down the divine impression they receive into the field of human consciousness. DK says they are overseeing or ushering in the new age and are present at the birth pangs of the new civilization and the coming into manifestation of a new race, a new culture, and a new world outlook. As a group, the new group of world servers are learning how to adapt the forces of nature, the energies of the rays, and the potencies of the zodiacal signs to the world need and the world demand. They are acutely aware of the plan and are one-pointed in their effort to radiate radiate the energy of at-one-ment into the service groups that they overshadow, to fuse and uplift these groups so as to make them more fit instruments in their particular line of service. DK says, there are today enough centers of light scattered all over the world and enough disciples and aspirants that the little beams or threads of light, speaking symbolically, which radiate from each of them can meet and interlace and form a network of light in the world. This constitutes the magnetic aura of the new group of world servers. Each individual in the group is sensitive to the plan, either through his own personal knowledge, through contact with his soul, or because his intuition tells him that what the group, which attracts him, accepts as its immediate work is for him true and right. And with it, all that is highest and best in him can cooperate. Each individual in that group will work in his own particular surroundings according to his ray and type. They are, in short, the consecrated servers of the world, free from any taint of separativeness, full of love for all men and women, and eager to spread the qualities of understanding and goodwill. This is only possible because they are group conscious and are thus able to hold an inner subjective link with each other with such consistency that potent centers of creative energy working under inspiration from the hierarchy via the focused minds of the group members are able to be channeled into the service groups that they overshadow. Thus, it is the group rather than the individual that becomes the emanating influential source, which exponentially increases the group's effectiveness. DK says, the members of the new group of world servers, even when they work without mental realization, are nevertheless working, quote unquote, under impression, as it is called. Their main duty, and the duty to which their souls call them, is to preserve an inner sensitivity. This they do in the majority of cases, for their intense interest in their work makes them one-pointed and dedicated to their task, even when they don't have a background in esoteric knowledge. Therefore, all personality reactions are subordinated to the work in hand, and the lower man presents no impediments to that impression. In fact, from the angle of the personality, they belong to the world of forces and are awakened souls whose consciousness is being integrated into that of the hierarchy. So, gradually a picture is being formed here of just what makes up this particular group. The new group of world servers was created in order to be a bridging group between the hierarchy and humanity, to heal cleavages by stimulating the soul ray, and thus in many ways, the group functions like the antakarana of the individual. They are pledged to teach self-aware individuals how to identify themselves with group purpose and how to submerge their separative identities into organized group activity. The new group of world servers works in accordance with a 3-year cycle. During the first year, the focus is on manifesting and consolidating those forms that will best promote the bridging work. In the second year, the focus shifts to expansion through a sounding forth of the note of these newly created forms. In the third year, the livingness or indwelling life emerges from the form and inspires all that it touches. The group also holds what DK calls the seeds of the coming civilization and the germ of the new culture. The germ of life of the new age is, we're told, within the husk of the old age and the old forms. When these seeds take hold, they will result in the re-emergence of the hierarchy upon the earth, of a coming forth from the inner planes to function as they did in previous ages on the physical plane. They will then literally become a miniature replica of the hierarchy, an externalization in embryo of the inner ashrams, directly linked with their inner counterpart, and thus using the same methods of work. This in turn will lead to a fundamental turning point for humanity, the establishing, under the direction of the Christ, of the fifth kingdom in nature on earth, resulting in 5 kingdoms living side by side on the physical plane. So, how do we align ourselves with this great group of beings? The new group of world servers primarily works with groups which are in some way focused on the greater good. It follows then that alignment with them will come through dedicated effort to the group or groups to which we have pledged our support. DK says, where there is a recognition of principles, of impartiality and service, and pure, intelligent goodwill, then give freely of your time and help. I can but stimulate your soul to clarity of perception, to wise vision, to true understanding, and to right planning. The rest of the work and the materializing of the project lies in your hands and with those who respond to the ideas presented. DK also tells us to cultivate non-criticism, sensitivity, and love, to spread the truth and do it with joy, to preserve our physical poise and good health by due attention to food and exercise, to learn to live increasingly the dual life of the disciple, a life of outer activity and of inner sensitivity, and to seize opportunities as they are presented, which will not only increase our effectiveness, but will also strengthen the link with our own ashram. He tells us to learn to know and trust each other, leaving each other free to work and plan within the group plan, to develop the experience of love in both our individual lives and in our group relations. He further suggests that we meet regularly for discussion, for planning, and for united meditation. And perhaps most importantly, he implores us to subordinate our own wishes and ideas to the group purpose. Visualization is also an important tool for alignment with the new group of world servers. We are asked to cultivate a vision of our own group objective in such a clear way that it becomes a fact in our own lives. This is a form of white magic, which involves applying one's imagination to a desired outcome persistently and with clarity, which leads inevitably to a materialization of that outcome. DK underscores the importance and effectiveness of love and joy, saying, I ask you to work anew with fresh ardor in joyful service, forgetting past weaknesses and failures in the urgency of that which I ask all to do for the world. There has been much lack of joy in the service rendered to the world lately. When I speak thus, I refer not to happiness, which is a personality reaction, but to that joyous confidence in the law and in the hierarchy which lies behind the biblical words, "The joy of the Lord is our strength." Rise up and fight, Arjuna, preserving the flame of love intact, permitting no breath of hate to disturb the serenity of love or upset the inner poise, which will enable you to sound forth the clarion note of world understanding. That will rally all men and women of goodwill to the aid of the hierarchy. This will bring to an end all hatred, separativeness, and aggression, which are the three major sins of humanity. The clarion note of joy through goodwill activity must be sent out. Let the beauty of what can be, the glory of the vision, and the spiritual, scientific, and physical rebuilding of humanity be held before them, inspiring them to renewed effort. DK often emphasizes the fact that group work is a divine experiment and is being initiated on Earth as a result of a new focused activity in the hierarchy, the purpose of which is to demonstrate to the watching guides of the race just how far the disciples and aspirants of the world are ready to submerge their personal interests in group good, and just how sensitive we are as a group to instruction and guidance. I'll end with this quote, which describes the importance of the new group of world servers in relation to the Taurus and Gemini full moons. As you prepare your own hearts, remember that the full moon of May is the time in which the new group of world servers and all the esotericists and spiritually oriented people of the world must work in full cooperation with the Buddha. And that the full moon of June is the opportunity for the men and women of goodwill, aided by the new group of world servers, to arouse people everywhere to make a great appeal. And by this appeal, enable the Christ to invoke for them the needed aid. Okay. What I gained from this sort of intense focus that I've made on this material is the imminent presence of the new group of world servers, that they are in a constant process of impressing all those who wish to serve, all those who have chosen to be part of this great movement, to usher ourselves into the new age, that they're immediately available on the inner planes to influence us, to encourage us, to impress us with those thought forms that reflect the plan. And so they're not some remote group working somewhere high above us that someday we might meet or might have some experience of, but that they are immediately a part and influential in our lives. So, okay, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I see that we're still way ahead of schedule. So, uh, feel free to ask if anybody wants to have or have any thoughts about the new group of world servers that they'd like to share. You're free to, I can check the chat, see if there's anybody. Yeah, I don't see anything. It would be a great discussion group to have, to use, for instance, this very short presentation as and turn it into bullet points for discussion, because I think this is, in a sense, this is, in addition to our own souls, this is the most accessible group for us. I think when we go into meditation and we decentralize and are able to move out of ourselves to be self-forgetful, this group is right there, available to us, working to influence and impress us with their thoughts.
So please use this time. Use Francis. He is the one of the new group of world servers, and he is ready to serve all of you. Use this moment. I think there has been beforehand also very great thoughts, and I was just looking
Why don't
there.
we bring those forward?
Michael, have you been following that? Can you bring something up? Because the whole day we have been talking about the new group of servers and the importance of it. Maybe for some people that is completely new idea. I don't know, we might have some new people here, but thinking about this time, and it's like last moments for us to really get
Right.
into our heads.
Well,
What
it was
is
such an ambitious project for you to put this together. It's like a little miniature conference here, stuck, in late April here, and I think it's just fantastic that you did it.
Yeah, isn't it? When the energy comes, I was just thinking also about this is a mini conference, even though we have these 5 days around the full moon, and also what was something I don't know, even though we have been talking so many times with Michael, but somehow now I first time realized how these two full moons are working together.
Yeah.
The WESAK full moon and then the Gemini full moon. And what is that actually that we have to do our part? That we must do our part. We cannot anymore think that they are someone's there who has to work. It is us who has to
Yes,
work.
that's right. And you really can uh, consider that, to the degree that you can participate in through whatever service you're doing in the world, uh, and to the degree that that service has inspired, uh, you are, to that degree, uh, a part of the new group of world servers, not like a card carrying member, but they work with groups.
That's
So
right.
I'm sure that our little group, is impressed in some way by, a second-rate teaching group that is influencing this group to be more effective in getting
Mm,
the word out. Uh, yeah,
yes. There has come now messages.
good. It just takes.
Uh, So there is Joanna who is asking Francis, I believe that there are many doing work for humankind that are not necessarily students of the ageless wisdom. Yes, would
Important
this
point.
be correct?
Yeah, yeah, it's a really important point. I mean, how many theosophists are there in the world? At this time, it was a huge movement in the beginning of the 20th century. It really surprisingly big movement, through Blavatsky and then later through Bailey. But certainly the confines of the new group of world servers is, they're in no way confined by, the teaching of, as we know it, through theosophy, that all selfless work is inspired by the new group of world servers, including those who have never heard of our particular form of philosophy, or maybe any form of
Mm,
philosophy.
mm,
There, if there is a spirit of service, and decentralized self-forgetfulness, and that dedication to some form of service, I think that's where you find the influence of this group. It could be in the scientific community, it could be, in the medical profession, where both of which don't tend to be oriented towards philosophy, but nonetheless are really doing the work of the hierarchy.
yes, exactly. That is what Tibetan was describing. What kind of groups are belonging to this, and he was counting this, that those who are starting to respond. So it's like the how would we say, the tail of the new group of world servers that just on the periphery, but he is counting as well them when he is in a very occult sense, technical sense, counting the new group of world servers from second degree on, but
Yeah.
in all kinds of human affairs. Then there is, before Ben is saying, before I heard the name hierarchy, I always spoke to all those who love me and help me. That is great. And
In a lot of ways, it could be more effective. Our own, theosophical language can get in the way. If you're in meditation and your heart is pouring out to those who love
mm,
me, help me, that could be more immediate than,
mm.
trying to reach the hierarchy, which is,
That's right.
what
Exactly.
is that? I mean, to us, really, in our daily lives, what does that even mean? That's why I'm really excited about this group, because it really stands between us, helping us to contact the hierarchy.
Mm,
It's,
mm.
there's so much more immediate uh, to us than is, the hierarchy. And of course, that's not uh, literally true either, because the hierarchy works through the new group of world servers to touch and reach us. So it
Absolutely.
is it is the hierarchical impression that happens through the new group.
There is Alexander who, wait a second, Alexander, I just read these few things. Wonderful, dear Francis, and oh, this is from Olivia. It is so vital, the work of the new group of servers. Um, my. That they cooperate with one another and take their message far and wide into humanity and become the link between hierarchy and humanity.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Thank you, Olivia. Yeah,
Uh,
their work is not. Uh, they are not themselves a service work here on the planet. Um, their work is to inspire and impress through thought form impression all those groups that are working to help humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then there is a wonderful note from Tom. We need a central register for all the groups. Well, I think that this registration is in the hierarchy because it is so vast. He talks about that it is vast group
Incredible.
and incredible, absolutely thousands and thousands and people in all countries. And for
Helena, sorry, go ahead.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Helena and Sheldon once did a presentation some years back. And while they did their presentation, they had uh, uh, the video screen behind them was scrolling pretty good. Do you remember this? Pretty
Yes,
quickly, all the service groups in the world. And it was, this huge list that was scrolling by at high
yeah,
speed during their presentation, and it was their way of, you know, just indicating how many, there are actually millions of service groups that have come
right.
into being since DK wrote, you know. Um,
Exactly.
so, if you look at the political landscape and you say, things aren't so good, uh,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there's an alternative way of looking, which is the response to this message, whether directly because people are aware of DK or indirectly because of the whole new energy that's coming forth.
Yeah.
Uh, and the formation of these literally hundreds of thousands of service groups.
And I have forgotten the name of him who was presenting, but I remember, that how strong are the visuals. And I remember this idea. It was like in the Star Wars, these names of the groups were just running on the screen.
Yeah,
And he was saying that if he would have been putting all the groups, it would have been taken 2 days to go through them
that's right.
in that
Yeah,
speed.
I
So
remember that. Yeah.
right. So that's why it is so important that we contact each other and we also emphasize that part of the life, which is not dark and which is not negative and which has the power for the whole humanity to rise. So there are just coming more and more, oh my gosh, more and more
Good. It
quotes.
takes time for people to formulate their thoughts. So this is great.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have
Right.
time, but yeah.
Yeah. Let us say, let Alexander to say his thought.
Well, Alexander is actually Maria Cristina today.
That's great.
Yes, Maria Christina, you have a thought on this?
Of course. Um, um, Tuya began the presentation this morning, as I recall, speaking of the Buddha and the consequent illumination he brought to mental planes, and then the Christ rending the astral veils. And then today we have Usins, the new group of world servers that are entrusted with bringing it through to the etheric levels, to the Maya,
Mm-hmm.
through the Maya, and etherically
Good point.
working so that incredible receptivity to impression that you were mentioning, Francis, so critical link that we provide as we receive impression, and then to radiate it through the etheric, such as with triangles, of course. And I wonder, virtual is kind of in between, isn't it? Anyway.
Yeah, that's some really good thoughts. The idea of the mental, astral, and literal etheric. Uh, it's our work, the groups that we belong to demonstrate the 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 impress from the Buddha, the Christ, and the new group of world servers in a direct line out into the world through our work, you know. So we also are a part of this link,
And he literally, it says, and I think of Michael. Dyna 1, page 135, says that doesn't matter so much what we do. It matters the altitude, so to speak, that we're doing it from, because that service will be through radiation.
Yeah.
Right. So I am just, there are two, oh, are there more? Wow. Anyway, Ellen, in Reappearance of the Christ 182-86, he describes the two groups of new group of observers. Some are disciples in full knowledge of the Christ, others composed of aspirants and working unconscious of spiritual hierarchy. May I say something in that?
Of course. Go.
Yeah. So he talks in many occasions differently. He also describes these like four groups, which is one of the initiates who are affiliated with the hierarchy, the second group aspirants, and the ones who are walking upon the path of probationary path, who are not affiliated yet directly to hierarchy. Then there are those who are goodwill men and women, and then the ones who are just rising, who are absolutely no conscious at all about, but their interest is there, and he was describing them belonging to that group as well. Then
Yeah.
Diana Francis, for 2025, our task, oh, did I read that? No, for 2025, our task as forerunners is concluded. Do we know anything about the responsibility we will assume in the next cycle after 2025? Okay, Francis.
Well, I think on the inner side, a new cycle will be initiated. And we get a little taste of that through the energy of the last two eclipses. And the fact that many of the planets are now moving into the sign that they will be in at the 2025 conclave. All this is a very definite movement into the new cycle, which will be, you could say, brought into clear focus at that conclave. In other words, that will be, the masters who meet at that time will set a new tone. They will actually literally sound a new note. And what's happening at this point is a preparing the environment for that note to come forth. So what will that note be like? what will be the quality of that? Well, I think it's going to very much bring in a further a furtherance of the energy of the Aquarian age. So our best indicator as to what that's going to be like comes through an understanding of the energies of Aquarius. The fact that it's group consciousness will be a a fundamental part of this shift in cycle. Pisces was very much connected with individual consciousness, developing that Leo I am type of awareness. And the New Age, the Aquarian Age, will be very much about the I am that aspect, really reorienting ourselves to group work. And I think that's going to be the dominating energy that takes us forward. And of course, there's, I think if we, as we live into this time beyond 2025, we'll look back to this time and see it as, a previous time. There really is going to be a change in quality to the outer life and to our inner apprehension. Just how that's going to look, it's hard to say.
I will follow the absolutely thinking the same way. Let us remember one thing that this time of the forerunner has not yet ended. And for the last minutes or seconds, hierarchy is going to look what is the quality of our group's results of this testing time. Let us remember that what he was describing in the world wars, that even that one night or before the full moon or the full moon moments were those what were this like making the platform for that, how the hierarchy was functioning. So that's why let us go through this time when we still have time. This belongs still to the time of the great opportunity, like we are in the last when we have a great examination. We are like in those hours we prepare that what we are going to offer to hierarchy. So that's why let us put our emphasis to these moments, that our what we give is the best for ever what we can give now.